Zombies are quite fittingly an undying genre. From the recent release of 28 Years Later to the ever-expanding Walking Dead spin-offs and the highly acclaimed Last of Us HBO adaptations, all the way to the new installment of the Dying Light series, and even an announced sequel to I Am Legend, the appetite for the undead shows no signs of ever truly being satisfied. Add to that a thriving ecosystem of video games and a library of beloved literature, films, and TV shows, and it's quite clear that zombies have infested the imaginations of countless people across the globe. But what is it about these shambling, or even sprinting, horrors that continues to captivate audiences to this very day? Let's start with the obvious. The undead subgenre comes in an impressive variety of flavors, often blended together in creative ways. We've got shambling zombies, unreasonably athletic zombies, fucking parkouring zombies, intelligent zombies, infected humans, traditionally undead zombies, special infected zombies, supernatural revenants, radiation-spawned mutants, and even the fungus among us. This cornucopia of nightmarish terrors star in stories that span pure horror, adrenaline-pumping action, poignant human dramas, and even outright comedies. So, one of the key reasons people love zombies, and the stories centered around them, is precisely because of this rich tapestry of diversity. Far from being a one-trick pony, the zombie subgenre offers an ever-evolving palette of thrills and themes across countless mediums. No matter who you are, there will be a tale about zombies which is tailor-made to fit your artistic preferences. But generally speaking, zombies do have their own unique narrative tropes, and these tropes are a big part of their enduring appeal. Chief among them is that zombies almost always represent an existential threat to all of humanity, unlike most other classic monsters or horror villains. Vampires, werewolves, demons, slashers, and even kaiju, they all typically endanger a limited number of victims, or even a single city or nation in the case of kaijus. You can kill a vampire or just wait for sunrise. You can survive a werewolf until dawn. You can escape a slasher. You can call an exorcist for a demon. Or you can flee the city or nation when Godzilla arrives. But with the undead, you typically can't run or wait out a zombie apocalypse. Once a zombie apocalypse begins, it usually spirals into a global catastrophe which threatens the very survival of the human race. The undead, or infected, almost always bring humanity to its knees, transforming the world into a post-apocalyptic hellscape. Plainly stated, the stakes are just much higher with zombies than they normally are with other horror subgenres. And when you really think about it, people are deeply curious about what life would be like in a post-apocalyptic world. We're drawn to stories of survival after civilization collapses precisely because we're fascinated by how ordinary people might adapt, endure, or even thrive when society's rules disappear. Such a fantastical world brimming with ever-present dangers, whether it be from the dead or the living, allows us to really see how human psychology changes under extremely stressful situations, and how the human mind might react to and adapt to the fall of our modern world, and the rise of something far more regressive or primal. These tales often spark daydreams about whether we ourselves could make it through such extreme circumstances. Could we find food? Could we protect our loved ones? Or could we rebuild some semblance of order? That curiosity can even inspire some of us to learn real-world survival and prepping skills, turning fiction into motivation for self-reliance. Now, of course, some people take that enthusiasm a bit too fucking far, but that's true of almost any passionate fandom. Ultimately, our love for these survival narratives taps into something primal, the thrill of testing ourselves against the harshest of conditions imaginable, and the hope that, even when everything falls apart, we might find a way to not only endure but to hopefully prosper. Now, the storytelling canvas of the post-apocalyptic hellscape also presents us with endless moral dilemmas and profound ethical questions. Was Don right to abandon his wife Alice in 28 Weeks Later? Or should he have thrown his life away and orphaned his children? Was Shane justified in sacrificing Otis in The Walking Dead? A classic trolley problem where terminating one life is necessary to save two individuals. Was Joel right to massacre an entire hospital of freedom fighters just to save his surrogate daughter Ellie in The Last of Us? Is it even fair to condemn a parent for making a choice almost any parent would make, regardless of its morality? Was Selena right to kill her fellow survivor Mark just based on a hunch in 28 Days Later? Was CJ right to insist that no one else should be allowed into the mall in Dawn of the Dead? Was Negan justified in the brutal way he organized and led the Saviors? Can we truly justify killing the zombies if they're almost no different from us in their capacity to form relationships and even actively suffer? Is it even worth trying to survive the end of the world? And can you ever truly justify taking others with you as you opt out? As you can see, the zombie genre constantly forces us to confront uncomfortable moral dilemmas while pushing us to wrestle with moral complexity. It invites us to re-examine sociological norms and the social contract theory itself through the lens of a thought experiment we can't realistically test in the real world. We're compelled to wonder about what cultures or religions might emerge in such a world. What kind of economies could develop? Or what kind of systems of governance would be the most commonplace or which might prove to be the most effective? In many ways, the zombie genre offers more intellectual stimulation than almost any other classic horror archetype. It goes beyond the mere rule of cool and often trespasses into the realms of philosophy, sociology, civics, and even fucking economics. And all of this makes even more sense when you recognize that the undead subgenre has a rich history of social commentary. George Romero's original Dawn of the Dead was a scathing critique of American consumerism. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's 28 Days Later explored our fear of viral outbreaks and our affinity for violence, along with deeper reflections on human nature and the fragility of civilization. Neil Druckmann's The Last of Us is a meditation on both the positive and negative consequences of love. And Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead serves as an expansive library of social commentaries, with each issue, volume, episode, or season tackling different themes and moral questions. That being said, there is a simpler, often overlooked truth about the zombie genre, something obvious to anyone viewing it from the outside. Zombie stories grant us catharsis through chaos. They let us revel in scenes of brutal, unspeakable violence, without guilt because the targets of our aggression aren't people at all. They're mindless, relentless killing machines that must often be destroyed for the sake of our survival. This unleashing of violence taps into a deep-seated power fantasy, allowing us to imagine ourselves as powerful survivors in a world without rules, where moral lines blur and raw instinct reigns supreme. There's a primal satisfaction to be found in the act of cutting down hordes of the undead. There's just something that's so cool and visceral and raw about conquering an unstoppable tide of monsters. It's an experience that's simultaneously terrifying and thrilling. And in that, we see how zombie stories can easily captivate audiences for both highbrow mental stimulation and lowbrow escapist pleasures. And last but not least is the zombie itself. It often attacks in hordes, is often relentless with zero concern for its own safety, often being able to soak an incredible amount of damage, while also never really getting tired. Few things on this earth is as terrifying as an enemy that looks exactly like us, because it used to be human. The idea that anyone, including those closest to us, can become this relentless monster is both horrifying and even heartbreaking. It forces us to imagine a moment where we might have to kill a friend, a family member, or even the love of our life. Now, many fans claim they'd be able to do it, but I suspect most would either hesitate or get bitten. That or they'll flee, truly being unable to emancipate their loved ones from the ghastly fate of zombification. Becoming a zombie is terrifying in its own right as well, a total loss of one's identity or individuality, often preceded by a painfully slow illness or violently fast transition. In some stories, the turned even remain conscious, trapped in their decaying bodies, suffering through every moment of their nightmarish existence. No doubt about it, the zombie itself, as a symbol of our worst fears of death, humanity, and slavery, lies at the very heart of why people are so captivated by this undead genre.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Anyways, if you like this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell as well, that way you may be notified whenever I publish a new video. And always remember that you may opine anytime you feel so inclined down in the comments section. I'm Captain Gold, and I hope to see you in my next Gold Standard video.